this audio is going to be with everybody getting here now. We'll see.
So,
Hi, MCTV. That's great.
I think the audio will be fine.
Okay. No, I trust it. I'm just saying.
Let's see, we're already live. So, let me just go. All right, welcome everyone to the second annual for the season. This is our second season doing this, but this is Warrior Game Day. Very, very excited. Merrimack Warriors against UConn tonight. Should be a very, very good game. I'm Patrick. I'm going to be your host today. We're also joined by
Joey Matroni.
Yes. It's his first time on the show. Are you excited?
Yeah, it should be definitely a good game we have going on. Kind of a bounce back opportunity for Merrimack after a tough last series against Maine last weekend, but they get started against UConn tonight, and they'll go over to Connecticut Saturday and play that second game of the series later on.
Yes, yes. And if you want to talk about last week, they played Maine. You know, you wrote down allowing fast starts in periods 1 and 2. You know, I think it was 6-0 and it was 5-0.
Yes.
Wasn't the best start. But I mean, it's still early in the season, so they have plenty of time.
Oh, absolutely. And getting more onto that fast start, 17 seconds in the first period is when that first goal was put in for Maine, and then 2 more in the start of the second period, in a period where they ended up with 4 goals, hence the 6-0 win, I believe, in the second matchup with Maine. But now things turn over to UConn, but even more so, there needs to be changes on offense for Merrimack if they want to come up with a win, because 2 shutouts in a row is not exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I was watching the game last week, and I felt so bad because they just have to get the puck like more in their offensive zone.
Yeah.
Like Maine was just like dominated on everything, and you know it's a young team. Like I said last time, last year they had a bunch of veterans and stuff, but now it's a brand new team, so everyone's just getting used to it. But yeah, more offensive chances in the zone. They also had some penalty minutes, which isn't good. 6 penalty minutes in the first game, which isn't good. And then Maine only had 2 penalty minutes, and you just can't get penalties because that just leads to more scoring opportunities, especially against a really good team like Maine. They're number 6 in the country. Very talented.
Exactly. Looking at some of those numbers that go along with the power play, they've allowed 8 goals to their opponents on the power play up to this point in the season, allowing an 8 for 25 clip, so that's just over 30% that they're allowing a goal on the power play. And it's another discrepancy in numbers for Merrimack, as they're only 2 for 15 on the power play up to this point in the season, converting just over 13% of the time.
Yeah, just like you said, 2 for 15, that's not a good stat at all. I remember like last year their power play was unbelievable. They had a much better percentage than that. Even when I was a freshman, just 2 years ago, another really good power play. So this power play can get going. And I definitely have confidence in this team. This UConn team is very good. Just want to give a shout out to UConn real quick. They are kind of like a hockey school right now. Everyone's always like UConn is a basketball school, but UConn is a hockey school. It really is. They've been playing some really good hockey lately.
That's exactly what I was going to go and bring up, is everybody goes to that Dan Hurley-led basketball team, but 5-3 up to this, 5-3-1, I believe, up to this point in the season. So a good start for the Huskies on the ice, and they came away with a big overtime win last time out against Vermont, 6-5. So a back and forth offensive game that came away the Huskies with the victory.
Yeah, exactly what you were saying. That stadium down there is huge. Like, those students, they packed that barn. Same here like Merrimack, but that's a unreal stadium. I mean, you know, UConn's doing good. They got a good hockey team now, good women's basketball team. Obviously, they're a phenomenal coach, and Dan Hurley, like you said. I mean, that basketball team.
Yeah.
UConn is just the spot, especially for athletes nowadays, especially like in the New England area. So.
Talking
really
even more about the UConn sports, their football team is now bowl eligible for the first time in a very long time.
Shout out to their football team.
UConn sports, they're up right now, as they say in the sports world, and just even more, like you said earlier about the UConn arena, the atmosphere for college hockey is nothing like you see somewhere in the NHL. These students and the fans truly do care and are willing to show up game in and game out to support their squad.
Yeah, and enough talking about UConn here. We are talking about Merrimack, but hey, we can change subjects a little bit, just like shouting out their team. But yeah, back to the game Friday against Maine. So Max Wetfield led the team in blocks with 5. I mean, dude, that's unreal. I could never just like put my body on the line and try to block someone. I would just duck out of the way, to be brutally honest.
Yep.
So shout out to him. Nick Pierre led with shots on goal with 3. And Max Lodgren made 14 saves, while Niels Wallstrom made 9 saves. So I think the goalie, I mean, obviously the last week 5-0 and 6-0, but one of their goalies, they won Hockey's Player of the Week. So like the goalie thing is not an issue. It's just like we said, the team is just like, it's a brand new environment. So. I think they're going to be very, very good in the future. Like, I'm not looking at this season and be like, oh, there's plenty of time. And there's still even they play up until December, and then they also have the second half of the season. So it's still early, so we got plenty of time.
Absolutely, and I think the fact that Merrimack has 3 goalies that they're willing to put in between the pipes night in and night out shows the depth at the position that they have, and the fact that Coach Borick is willing to have any of those guys in at any point is kind of a testament to his trust that he puts in the goalie position.
Yes, definitely, for sure. And if we look at Saturday's game, definitely a little bit more the same. Final score is 6-0. Joseph Mizak led the team in blocks with 6. Max Wedfield led the way, shots on goal with 3. And Niles Rosser made 22 saves. Ryan Keys made 12 saves in reliefs. But this is another stat that I'll bring up. 19 shots on goal for Merrimack that game, and there are 40 shots on goal for me. I mean, that's a problem. You can't just keep peppering that goalie because they're eventually going to score. So 40 shots is a lot. You need to get more shots on net if you're Merrimack, I feel like.
It's exactly the point that you brought up before. You got to get the puck out of the defensive zone if you're Merrimack, because like you said, Patrick, the sheer volume of 40 shots is absolutely going to result in goals for the opposing team. And that's where the lack of offense in these past 2 games needs to change if you're Merrimack. Only 7 goals they've gotten this entire season on, I believe, 135 shots. So not a good offensive conversion rate up to this point, but it comes back to what you said. There's still so much time left on in the season that they have plenty of time to pick it up.
Definitely. And we talked about penalty minutes. This was worse on Saturday. 29 penalty minutes for Merrimack. That cannot happen. That's way too many penalties, and only 10 penalty minutes remain. So there's just big issues. Like, I just made a question mark here in this outline. Shots on goal and penalty minutes are huge issues, and that's just a few things that they have to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the more and more that you're not on even strength, it of course leads to more offensive zone time for your opponents, and Maine was able to take advantage of it in this game. And 29 penalty minutes, to be exact, is not even like a number that you might see the entire season in a game for Merrimack. So kind of an outlier amount of penalty minutes in this game. But again, easy fix that if they're able to play more sound, even strength hockey, expect more goals for Merrimack later on this season.
Yes, definitely, exactly. And, just your opinion, like, how does Merrimack just get better for this week? Like, we did talk about it a little bit, but we can mention it again.
Yeah, I think those penalty minutes are kind of the big question mark, as we said. Just being able to spend more time in that offensive zone, keeping the puck out of the defensive zone, in turn, is going to allow more opportunities for Merrimack to score more goals and get more offense set up in set up in the zone, and by having more time in the offensive zone, they'll be able to hopefully run some plays that they've been working on in practice this week that they feel confident could get the puck in the net.
Yes, and I'm sure that's what Coach Warwick was working on, especially like gotta get better in the penalty, gotta get better with the penalty minutes and offensive zone. You gotta pepper that goalie. You gotta get more opportunities in the offensive zone. I'm sure they're working on that a ton this week. Sure, it was a lot of skating for this team this week too.
Yeah, speaking more onto the idea of getting more shots on goal, rebounds are going to be a big thing, especially if you can get shots on goal. You saw, I was watching some portions of the UConn Vermont game that ended in a 6-5 win for UConn. Obviously, back and forth game, but UConn was able to get the puck in front of the net, and by putting it on the goalie, they were able to get rebounds in front of the net, and they were able to bury those. So expect them to try to work on getting more into that slot area, and that's where they're going to score the most goals.
Exactly. And, you know, we got a lot to talk about with this UConn game, but another little segment I like to do. So other Merrimack sports happening this weekend, because we're into the season. We're into the winter season now. The fall seasons are wrapping up. So women's ice hockey is down at BU today. They lost yesterday. I think hopefully they can bounce back. BU's a really good team. But must be, dude. I mean, like that's really cool. I mean, against playing at BU, that has to be a tough environment. It really does.
Yeah, especially even more so, a tough little stretch. I believe their previous game before BU was BC, and that was sort of another tough offensive game or tough defensive game, which is kind of a story for both Merrimack hockey teams up to this point. But obviously a big opportunity to play in tough competitions like BC and BU.
Yes, definitely. And another game we have tomorrow. So women's volleyball is against Marist College. That's at 1 p.m. It's actually here. So should be a good game. Or a good competition that you don't really call a game in volleyball. But I used to broadcast them. So the team is doing good this season. It's crazy what like how athletic I feel like you have to be like for volleyball. Like I don't know how like they like all these rallies all the time. It's insane. Like 2 to 3 minutes. You know, you're just like battling out, just trying to win the serve, trying to win the point, which is just crazy.
Yeah, especially having to dive on the floor to keep those rallies going and being able to get back up and in position just in time for the ball to come back over the net to you is a testament to the conditioning and athleticism that all volleyball you see in all.
I mean, I would personally just be exhausted after like one set, honestly. I would be like, I'm done with this. I'm completely done with this. So that's the Merrimack sports for the weekend, and then obviously we got men's hockey tonight, which we'll get more into, and then they're at Storrs, Connecticut tomorrow. So home away for Merrimack.
Yeah, I believe we also have tomorrow the home opener for men's basketball against Vermont, so that should be
yes, we do. I believe I completely forgot about that. It was
a fun
matchup. It was appreciate you mentioning that.
Look out for Bud Clark in that one for the Merrimack Warriors. To get it started, he was on, I believe you can check out the article on the Merrimack Athletic website. But Clark on the small school All-American watch list to start the season.
Yes, definitely. We can talk about the basketball season. Phenomenal showing last year. They made the NEC championship, brand new conference. They're in the MAC this year. Bud Clark, phenomenal player. They lost the transfer, Jordan Durkak. He went to Rutgers. They're actually going to play them in a little bit in the season, so hopefully that's a revenge game. It was heartbreaking. I'll tell you, I was here. The home game was here, the NEC championship. Maybe the best atmosphere ever here I've ever seen. I've been to so many hockey games here. It was insane, and then it was such a good game. We almost came back, we almost won, but we lost, we fell short. But I want that again. I want to go to the MAC championship, and I want to play for March Madness again, because that was so cool. Vermont is a very, very good team. Shout out to my brother. I think he's watching or listening right now. He went to University of Vermont. Very, very good 3-point shooting team. And They're really good on defense as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a good game. They played last year or 2 years ago, and Vermont won. But I think it's going to be close. I really do.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this season. Yeah, with me being a freshman and everything, I haven't really experienced a whole lot of Merrimack sports just yet, but I'm excited to see how the change affects Merrimack basketball and the new MAC competition is. Of course, the ultimate goal is to get back into that big dance in March.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, I mean, this game is going to be really good tonight. No one really knows how the Hockey East is going to go this season. Boston University played last week. They got swept by Michigan. Michigan's a really good team. Boston College is really good. They got a lot of people returning. I think they're going to be really good as well. They have to play Maine this week. That should be a really, really good series. I think both might be at BC, or it might be a home and away. I'm not 100% sure on that.
I know at least tonight is at BC, but I'm not sure about the second one.
Yes. But hey, early in the season, we're perfectly fine. I'm not stressed at all.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, there's a whole lot more hockey to be played, so plenty of time for there to be movement in the Hockey East.
Yes.
But the Hockey East is a great conference to be watching all the way throughout the year, for the reason of how competitive it is. There are obviously the powerhouses like BCBU, Northeastern, teams like that are gonna have success year in and year out, but anybody can win at any time of the season.
Yes, definitely. And I've heard some players say, like, they understand that this is a new team, so they're not stressed about it. They're like, their goal, they think, by mid-season is that they're going to be really, really good, and they're going to figure things out. So I think they're really excited for that, and they're really excited for what's going to happen, but they know that it's a new team, and it's going to be a different transition. So
they have a good opportunity to change things up here tonight against UConn. Still looking for their first win, but having that home atmosphere is, I think, going to be an advantage for the Warriors heading into tonight's matchup.
Yes, definitely, exactly. And we got a big game tonight. I'm very, very excited about this. Actually, our other co-host Jack just showed up, so he might pop in and talk about some stuff. So yeah, we also got some non-conference matchups as well that I want to mention. Number 13 Ohio State versus Michigan State. Also number 20 Notre Dame at number 7 Michigan. So those should be some tough, really good games. Big Ten hockey is unbelievable. It really is.
Yeah, we've seen so many improvements in competition over the past few years, and I expect it only to really get better. Those Big Ten conferences, or the Big Ten conference matchups in any sport, is a big part of the success for those teams is the atmosphere that they create. So I'm excited to see how the Big Ten turns out at the end of the year.
Yes, definitely. Very, very tough environments to play in. Michigan has a huge arena. Penn State has a huge arena as well. Just tough places to play. Double the size here, for sure.
Yeah.
But no, Boston University is a phenomenal team. Michigan swept them, so I'm gonna take Michigan to beat Notre Dame. I was on the road too. You sweep Boston University on the road. That's a very, very tough place to play. It really is.
Exactly. I don't know how much more momentum you could build after a victory in BU, and they'll go right on to play Notre Dame. And I expect them to have a lot of momentum and even more energy going into this matchup.
Yes, definitely. And also the Ohio State Michigan State team. Michigan State. Remember, I think it was last year or 2 years ago. They had a phenomenal goalie. I think their goalie was on the it was the World Juniors team, right? Correct or something. They had a lot of people on that World Juniors team. Michigan State, they're really starting to turn into a hockey powerhouse. They really are. The Big Ten is just so talented. Like, there's so many good teams. I personally still think the Hockey East is the best conference to play in college hockey. But the Big Ten is really up there as well.
Yeah, the Big Ten's going to keep moving along, but I tend to agree with you here. The Hockey East is what I've seen the most of up to this point Hockey East is obviously going to continue to be a lot of competition year in and year out, but the Big Ten's right on their heels at this point in terms of competitive college hockey.
Yes, definitely, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just exciting. I love college hockey in general, and I hate that it doesn't get as much love as it should have, because I wish it did. I really did. But we love it here. I think the Hockey East schools especially love it, and I agree with you. Like, nothing beats Hockey East, and it showed it last year when Maine they made the NCAA tournament. UNH too, I believe, made the NCAA tournament. Actually, it might have just been. It was Maine, BC, BU. But I mean, that's a huge showing. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see even more Hockey East teams make it to the tournament at this point on the season. We've continued to harp on the fact that how much more hockey there is to play in this season. So you could see teams start to emerge later on in the season as potential tournament teams.
Yes, definitely, for sure. And yeah, we're gonna. Jack's actually gonna come in here. If you want to talk to Jack, you can. That's totally fine. Here are the lineups for tonight. We're gonna have Jack talk about the lineups and just like keys to the game, like what we have to do. Obviously, much more zone time. We need more action in the offensive zone. So, Jack, if you want to come in, you can take my spot if you want. Yeah. So I got the lineups here. So if you want to talk about that, and then just like keys to the games.
Awesome. Sounds good. So we're recording right now?
Yeah, we're live at the moment.
All right, awesome. So, what's up, everybody? So yeah, let's get into the keys of the game. So for me, my keys of the game, we gotta score some goals. We gotta score some goals, right? And then we gotta play well in our defensive zone, specifically at the top. We gotta play a full game of defense. Gotta be below the dots, above the dots. We can't make it easy for their defensemen, but we also can't leave like free roamers around the net.
Yeah, I like what you said about the defensive zone aspect of this game. One of the games against Maine we brought up earlier, a big shot discrepancy in favor of Maine. They had 40 shots in one of their wins against Merrimack in comparison to the 19 shots from Merrimack. So
yeah,
we were talking about at different points in this game with the sheer amount of shots, you're bound to give up goals if you're allowing 40 shots on goal again.
100%. And like you said, like it's all in the defensive zone. We got to play well down low, but we also can't make things easy for their defenders. Against Maine, the first game they had, or UMass Lowell, it was easy for their defensemen. We let them have like all the room in the world, and there was also people down low, just free roamers around the net, getting rebounds, going back door, way too easy for the opponent. So tonight, I mean, that's got to be the biggest key, because we just let up 6 goals to Maine, 5 goals to Maine, and 6 goals to UMass Lowell, and that came in a variety of different ways. Like I said, Lowell, people were down low. Maine, it was too easy for their defensemen at the top of the key. So we got to play a complete game of defense, and we also got to score some goals, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with all of that. And something we've been talking about too, and I'm going to bring back up here, is the power play up to this point in the season. Merrimack still only 2 for 15 on the power play, and they've allowed 8 goals this season on the power play. So an improvement for Merrimack would be able to take advantage of that man advantage and find the back of the net when you're on 5-on-4.
Exactly. A large percentage of goals in hockey come on the power play. You got to be able to take advantage of the man advantage. Like, you can't play 5-on-4. You said 2 for 15. 2 2 for 15. That's not good on the power play. You gotta be at least at 50%.
That's just over 13% the conversion rate on the power play for Merrimack up to this point.
Yeah, that's not a success. That's not a formula for success. So, you know, you can't get shot out like this. It's 200 feet of the ice. There's problems on each end, but you know, I think there's very good reason to stay positive. We lost to Maine, but Northeastern is below us in the Hockey East standings. But at the same time, Northeastern took Maine to their only non-win. They're 6-0-1. That one tie came to Northeastern. We're ranked out of Northeastern. So there's definitely reason while we did outline, you know, we're not good on the power play. We could be way better defensively. But I mean, we do have hope. We absolutely do have hope.
You're taking on a solid team again in UConn, who's I believe 5-3-1 up to this point this season. They had a good series. They split the series this past weekend against Vermont with their victory, a 6-5 overtime win. It was double check.
Yeah.
Tristan Fraser had the overtime winner with about 46 seconds left to go in that overtime period, and Vermont gave up scored the game tying goal before overtime with just about 0.3 of a second left on the clock.
Wow.
So the ability for UConn to be able to give up that goal and come back in overtime and score the winner shows their resilience.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. So yeah, it's going to be tough, but like I said, it's definitely possible. Merrimack, I mean, we started off the season, you know, in Minnesota versus Stonehill, we weren't giving up a plethora of goals. You know, it wasn't perfect. And then New Hampshire, 0-0, we won 1-0 in the shootout. So we've shown the ability to play good defensive hockey, stop goals. But it's got to be consistent. Now, 3 games in a row, 5+ goals. It's now a trend. So we're going to need to break that trend. You know, like you said, Connecticut's a very resilient team. Shows in their past game. But, I mean, we've got to prove that now. It's our time to prove that. Although it's been a trend, not very good hockey over the past 3 games, we are resilient. We can break that curse.
Yeah, and I think, too, Edric brought up the point earlier about how this is a young team. There was some turnover heading after the previous season, and they're only going to get better with experience. So even though you hit a rough patch up to this point in the season, still plenty of hockey left to be played in order to make a difference in this Hockey East standings.
Could not agree more. Are you a sophomore or freshman?
I'm only a freshman.
Okay, so we were freshmen. We started off the season kind of brutal. And it was not a good start, but we ended up actually bouncing back. And we were a young team. Like you said, this year, we are a young team. We were a young team back in 2022-23. We had a really rough stretch, but then we picked it up. We really picked it up. We ended up in the Hockey East tournament. Beat Boston College, UMass Lowell, then lost in overtime to Boston University. Everybody here, you know, that was a memory for us Merrimack students. It was a great season, even though we had struggles. We had rough stretches. We didn't start off extremely well. We were a young team. We fought through. Coach Scott Borick is a phenomenal coach. He can lead us through adversity. He can be the reason why, you know, we improve as the season goes on. You know, it's only up from here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a good goal to have is just to be able to get back into that Hockey East tournament, because once you get back into any tournament style, anything can happen in any game.
Absolutely. And although we started out 1-5-1, not a pleasant record to start, we're in Hockey East. It's the toughest place to play in hockey. So, you know, you get a little bit of leeway. And you have Connecticut, we have 2 games against Connecticut, and we have Stonehill and we have BU. Like, we can win absolutely at least 2 of those games. We should win 2 of those games.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to hear more about the matchup with Stonehill. That one taking place at Warrior Ice Arena. So should be a fun experience for both sides.
It's a great atmosphere to play in. Obviously, that's what the Bruins practice. Been to some high school playoff games, never been to a college game. That atmosphere is going to be insane.
Absolutely.
Tuesday night, hopefully the turnout's pretty good. I'm sure at Warrior the turnout will show up. Yeah, tonight, so we touched up on the keys of the game. What do you think is going to be the key to a win tonight?
I think if you're Merrimack on defense, you got to keep your eye on Ethan Gardula for UConn. He had 3 points in the 6-5 win against Vermont, 2 goals and 1 assist, and was flying all over the ice in that win for UConn.
Absolutely. And against Maine, Maine had one of their players have a phenomenal game. And we just can't let that happen. We can't let one player beat us. It's not a recipe for success. Make them beat us in other ways. Like Maine. So the Black Bears, they scored a 5th goal, only 22 seconds to the 3rd. It was so Wallstrom came in for Lundgren, and I mean that provided a spark. But Maine, they did have one player go kind of crazy.
I believe Wallstrom is also going to get the start tonight against UConn. So
That is great to hear.
excited to see that. But as you mentioned, head coach Scott Borick isn't afraid to make changes at goalie. They've had multiple games to this point in the season where they've had 2 and maybe all 3 goalies play at certain points in the season. So
Absolutely.
willing to ride the hot hand, and I think that's why you see Wallstrom back at the net tonight.
Absolutely. I believe he faced about 10 or 11 shots in that 3rd period, and he was really good. He really did look good. So hopefully that can provide us a spark, provide us some life. You're always looking for that little bit of spark of life. Just to, when you start out the season kind of rough, have a player come in, have a goalie, a young guy come in, and provide you just with some support. Just, again, a spark of life.
Yeah, one of the sparks we saw earlier on in the season is Ryan Keyes. He had the shutout in the shootout win earlier on in the season. And maybe that's another sort of thing that you have to see from Merrimack is another great performance out of the goalie. So tonight that's going to be Wallstrom. So excited to see what we see out of him.
And I'm optimistic about it. Like I said, he had a great 3rd period against UMaine, and when you bring in a new guy, you're looking for a change. So obviously, it hasn't been the greatest start. That's what we need. Do you think Connecticut is the team that we get going against, or do you think it's going to come later in the season, maybe against Estonia next week?
I would not be surprised if Merrimack's able to pull out a win against UConn at some point during the series, rather, not this season. But again, we mentioned they're a good team, and it's even a tougher place to play down in Stores on Saturday. So if they're gonna pull out the win, I expect it to be here tonight at Waller.
Absolutely. I mean, we have the home ice. It's our best chance because we're not playing at home again until December 6th. We've got almost a month on the road. We're going to be in Connecticut tomorrow, back at Warrior on Tuesday, on Friday at Boston University at Aganis. Then we're going to Belfast, Northern Ireland. We'll play BU there again. We'll play Harvard or Notre Dame there, depending on if we can float a win against BU. And, that takes up the next month. So tonight is a really good opportunity to take advantage of that last game for the rest of the month in Lawler. Use our home crowd to our advantage, get going for this road trip.
Still looking for their first home win of the season, and if there's ever a time to do it, it's now. That's the ultimate source of momentum, I believe,
Absolutely.
for this Warrior hockey team.
And it's got to be. It's got to be because, like I said, we're not back at home for a month. It's going to be tough to pull out a bunch of road wins with no home momentum. I think tonight is the night we get it done. Who do you think has a breakout game tonight? Is there anyone you could see having a breakout game, providing us some more life? In Maine, Max Watville, he's phenomenal defensively. 5 blocks. Max Lundgren, Nils Wallstrom. Wallstrom will likely provide the life, but outside of that, yeah, you're going to need help from Max Watville in the defensive end. What do you think? Offensively, can we get anything going?
What I was going to say was the big breakout absolutely has to come from the defense, no matter who it is. And great defense turns into even better offense. So if you're able to get some of those block shots and break out and get the offense going in transition, I think that's their best opportunity to score.
Couldn't agree more.
They're going to come away with a win.
I couldn't agree more. I'll say it again. You got to play all ends of the ice, all ends of the defensive zone. You can't just play hard down low. You can't just play hard at the top against their defensemen. You have to do it. You have to do it the whole way. You got to be active in the corners, at the top of the faceoff dots, off of the faceoff. You can't have any free goals. You can't. Got to make it easy for Wallstrom tonight.
Absolutely.
Someone that we're going to need a spark out of offensively. We got to start with defense. But Ty Denal, that could be a great source of offense. Zach Bookman, you look to your not vets because they're still young guys, but they've been around here. They've scored some very big goals, and some very big moments for us as Warriors. So we're going to need them tonight.
Bookman has experience against this UConn team. He was on the roster a year ago when the Warriors took their last matchup against this UConn team. Was a 4-3 loss actually here, but overall I believe they have an 18-8-2 record at home all time against this UConn team, and we're having the 48th overall matchup between UConn and Merrimack here tonight. So
and so history shows that tonight should be a win for Merrimack at home. And we touched off on it before, but we need it. We desperately need it. 1-5-1. If we don't come out of this game with a win, we're gonna have to steal one on the road. But it makes it all the more easier if you get one at home, because that's your home advantage. That's where you're supposed to win. So if you get the wins you're supposed to win, then you go on the road, games you may not be expected to win, with a lot more momentum, way better chance to get those wins.
yeah, absolutely, and I think getting a few wins in this next stretch of games for Merrimack is very important. You mentioned going to Belfast in a few weeks' time for that Friendship 4. You want to have a little bit of momentum going into that matchup, going into that trip as a whole, rather, because you want to be able to enjoy that trip to Belfast and be able to experience what it's like to play hockey in a place where you never have before.
Exactly. You don't want to have a bad time. You want to go have fun playing hockey. It's a great opportunity for all these players for this program. Zach Bookman, he's kind of the guy here. He's going to have to lead this team, him and Denal. Translate their on ice to the off ice. I'm not in the locker room, but that's what I hope for. I definitely hope for Zach Bookman. Hopefully he can pick up a few assists in the coming games. That's where his production comes. He scores some goals, but he's that breakout passer, that lead passer who generates the offense, even if he's not finishing it. And against New Hampshire, he was the guy scoring the only goal for us. So he's huge for us. He's going to have to be the leader on and off the ice. And he can do it.
Absolutely, and I think playing a team brand of hockey and not necessarily playing for yourself, but playing for your teammates and working the puck in the offensive zone is one of the best ways where Merrimack's going to have a chance to turn this season around.
100%. And Bookman, he's the exact guy who does that. He doesn't put up a bunch of goals. He'll load the stat sheet with assists. I think he had north of 30 assists last season. Only a few goals, but that's a phenomenal stat line, 30 assists. We're going to need more of that. He's got 7 games played, 2 assists, 2 points. We're looking for more. He's going to need some help from his teammates, but he's also that offensive engine. He's what generates it. So if he can, get a few passes going to Ty Denal, Antonio Venuto, Ethan Bono, he's a guy who's coming back. Tyler Young. We've got some guys who can really generate some offense. We just need to put the puck in the back of that net.
If I could add even one thing more, doing things that might not show up on the stat sheet as often. So laying a big hit is a thing that can bring momentum.
100%.
Winning a tough face-off in the defensive zone to get the puck back in the possession of Merrimack, that's going to be huge.
It really is.
And any extra sort of thing that's going to show 110% effort.
Something that I think is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal chance for us tonight. UConn, 2 for 26 on the power play. So we're 2 for 15. We're not great. They have 7% power play percentage. Our penalty kills were 17 for 25. That's 70%. Maybe that's where our source of energy comes from tonight. Stopping their power plays if they can get it, take away their momentum, keep the puck out of our net. Like we've touched on this, defensive hockey, it leads to offensive hockey. So it's all going to start with gritty, big hits. Prove to your teammates that you want to win this game. For each and every one of these players, I'm sure that's what Warwick's saying.
Yeah, I know it's a different facet of the game, but even something like a penalty kill could lead to having success on the power play once you have that advantage. obviously only having 2 goals up to this point in the season. Maybe if the penalty kill has success, that turns around into success for the power play, and that's where it turns around.
Absolutely, and 2 for 26, it's the perfect team to do it against. You know, most teams that are, we're gonna have to face, they're gonna be better than 7% on the power play. UConn's not. This is a great chance for us to play some great and grind hockey, bring some energy, translate it from the defensive side to the offensive side, puck in the back of the net, and win a much-needed game.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this game shapes up. And now I'm going to hand it back off to Patrick, and you guys are going to finish it up with some final keys of the game before we head on to the matchup against UConn.
Awesome. Great to talk to you, Joey.
All right, so what's up, Jack?
Nothing much.
How are you doing? Yeah, so we can call that a little commercial break, but it's okay.
Yeah, so tonight, I mean, we've got a game ahead of us. We've got a big game for the Mariners.
We do. It's a huge game, and we were just talking about like before you came, like just UConn in general, just like they're just a big sports school in Germany. They really are. This hockey team is phenomenal.
But you started on the basketball team.
Yeah, we can talk about their basketball team all game long. But no, we were talking about actually earlier before you came in. If you want to talk about it for a little bit, just the basketball game tomorrow, because I know you know a lot of insight on that. So Vermont's a good team, and then we'll hop into our final predictions and we'll wrap it up. But yeah, I mean this basketball team's good. I mean Bud Clark is back. Obviously, they lost Jordan Durkak. I can't wait for that game when they play Rutgers. That's
I
gonna be
cannot
fun.
wait. And Rutgers, they've got some phenomenal players besides Durkak. I think Durkak's coming off the bench. They've got like 2 top 10 recruits.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And I mean Vermont, they're a good defensive team. Merrimack is as well. Big game tomorrow. I was talking to Malik Edmond yesterday. He said they're ready. They're excited to start the season.
Absolutely.
So,
Obviously, he was on the bench last year. He was not able to play. He had something up with his, the NCAA.
Yeah,
the NCAA.
exactly, yeah.
But he's back this year. Him and Bud Clark are going to be leading that backcourt. 2 small guards, 2 gifted guards. So
yes,
that's going to be an experience to watch. Our first year in the MAC conference. Last year we were in the NEC. It's a great opportunity for Joe Gallo and his squad to prove themselves. We've got some returning players, Devon Savage, Bud Clark, Brian Atemnu. They'll all probably be in the starting lineup. Throughout the season, they were last season, and they were a big part of our success next to Jordan Durkak. And obviously, we're losing him. Bud Clark's going to step into that one role. We've got some guys like Matt Becht, phenomenal shooter in the transfer portal. Sean Trumper, former Franklin Pierce player, I believe. So, yeah, he's going to provide a spark for us. And Malik,
Malik's good.
He will probably
very good player.
Exactly. Offensively, that's like a backup for Bud Clark. And who knows? Maybe they'll start together at times.
Yeah, and it's a new conference, so we don't know how they're going to play. But I think this team's ready. I really do. I hope they get off to a good start.
Exactly.
A win against Vermont would be huge.
It would.
It really would be.
We talked about Vermont as a good defensive team. We're a great defensive team ourselves. Bud Clark led the NEC in steals, I believe, last year. Who knows? Maybe he'll do it again. I talked to him about that achievement, and he said he's the dog. That's him at the end of the day. And in Joe Gallo's system, you get a lot of steals. That lead guard's going to get a lot of steals specifically, and he does a phenomenal job of running that system. And offensively, let's talk about his mid-range shot, his signature mid-range shot. He does not take a ton of threes, but he handles the ball, works the pick and roll phenomenally, gets a great deal of assists, but it's that mid-range shot that gets his offense.
And this team drives the hoop a lot, which I like. Like they play really good basketball.
Absolutely.
Really good at passing the ball too. I feel like it's not about all the 3-pointer with this team. Usually the 3-pointer can work. It's an NBA thing most of the time. but like this team's really good.
It's part of our offense,
Yeah.
but you know we don't really build off of that. We build
Yeah.
off driving them inside, like you said. Then you know we're a great passing team. We kick out guys like Savage, knock down threes. I think he had 4 or 5 in the NEC championship game that we unfortunately lost last season to Wagner. He was shooting the lights out. And now we got Matt Becht. That guy is a lights out shooter. So
Yes.
him and Savage together, Bob Clark running the offense. I mean, who knows? The 3-ball may be an even bigger part of our offense than last year.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, this is an. I'm just looking at this non-conference schedule right now. We got Vermont at home, VCU, Princeton, Rutgers, Butler. I mean, talk about like the first 5 games of the season. That's awesome. I mean, like playing at Butler and Rutgers is amazing. That's awesome. That has to be cool.
These are really tough matchups.
Yes.
But they're matchups that we need to prove ourselves in.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
got 2 home games against Vermont and Princeton. We can get some energy built off of that. We're in for a really, really good season. I mean,
Yeah,
tough
exactly.
schedule, like you said. But, I mean, that's only what you make of it.
Yes.
Only what you make of it. So you win tough games, and then, you know, your schedule only gets easier from there. You win those games, you know? So, Joe Gallo, I couldn't ask for anybody better to lead this team, defensively, offensively. We saw it pay off. We all know we would have beaten Wagner, and then potentially in March Madness, Jordan Durkak didn't get hurt.
That's so true. That's so true.
That injury was brutal, and it led to a lot of media coverage being negative around us and about, you know, Durkak. And I really feel bad for him. Obviously, he's not with us anymore, but I'm telling you, if he didn't get hurt, that's our game. That's our game. That's our conference. We're in the playoffs. So, really disappointing that happened, but you know, we can only get better from that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited. And you know, we could just wrap it up with the game on tonight. Like we talked about when we talked about it, and I talked about it. You gotta get more people. You gotta get offensive zone time. It just has to happen. It really does. And UConn is a good defensive team. They got a really good offense too. But that's just what we have to do. And like if we keep doing that, if we get a bit more offensive chances, you know, we could go on a tear and maybe start winning some games. That's all what it is. More shots on goal, less penalty minutes. Just the penalty minutes cannot happen.
And hey, UConn, you know, we're not very good on the power play. Maybe we can get better on that end tonight. But UConn's even worse on the power play. 7%, 2 for 26. That's not good.
Yeah.
And you know, that should be a highlight of the game plan. We should attack that. You know, play great friend hockey. Joey was saying, make some big hits. Prove to your teammates you want it. You play that on the penalty kill. You prove it to your teammates. That's a bunch of energy to build off of. You play defensive, hard-nosed hockey. It's going to translate to the offensive end.
And then, dude, this home crowd, like, take advantage of the crowd.
Exactly.
Maybe get on the board early and then slow this team down a little bit. You know what I mean?
We're not back.
100%.
We're not back at home until after Belfast. We're home tonight, and then we go to
Our
Connecticut.
next home game, I believe, is December 6th, 5th or 6th. So yeah,
whole month ahead.
Yes.
We're going to be in Belfast before. So this is a big game tonight. We got to, you know, use our home crowd, like you said, build off of that, get some momentum going into this road trip. We go to Connecticut, then we go to Warrior Ice Arena, we go to Boston, play BU, and then we go to Ireland. And then we come back in a month, back and forward for Alaska. So, you know, we got a long road trip ahead of us, but tonight is a big home game that we need to take
huge home game. I think it's really cool. Alaska, we're playing Alaska. I think that's amazing. That's gonna be cool. But yeah, I mean, go Warriors tonight. I cannot wait for this game. It's gonna be a good game. UConn is a good team, but I got faith. More offensive chances. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all we need. More offensive zone.
Exactly.
That's what we have to do.
And hey, that starts from the other end of the ice. Build off that, move into the offensive end, score some goals. Put the puck in the back of the net.
Exactly.
Game, we need 3 tonight.
Take advantage of this crowd.
Absolutely.
Take advantage of this crowd. But thank you guys for watching and listening on the radio. We appreciate it. I think we will be back. I believe it's December 7th or 6th. I know they're doing a live broadcast for a music thing, so we can't use the broadcast equipment, the out-of-pocket equipment. So we'll have to see. But thank you guys for watching and listening. This is Warrior Game Day. Hopefully we can make this something. You know, I can't wait. This is turning into something. We tried to get a farther camera out there, but then like our camera broke. So I don't know what happened. It just won't turn on.
We'll work on it.
But
too.
yeah, we'll work on it. But hey, this is the start of something really good. So
Yes, sir. We'll
I
be
can't
back
wait.
better than ever.
So all right, we will see you on December 6th and December 7th.
Peace out. Thank you
I'll see you.
for listening.
Have a good one, everyone.
Let's go. Let's fire.
It was.